Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Gerline Litt, and I'm a math teacher and speech and debate coach at Hallmark Charter School. I'm also an adjunct professor at Reedley College. But today I'm here as a concerned citizen and a community member. I have had the honor of working at Hallmark Charter School for the last 7 years. Honestly, I was really reluctant to speak out today because I really don't know if I'll have a job at Hallmark next year. Primavera Martinez, Arnvig Litt, Chloe Bailey, Kelly Anderson, Ian Cowan, Christian Gonzalez, Aiden Ledbetter. These are just a few of Hallmark's graduates that I had the honor of working with. Primavera was not only President's Medalist at California State University, Fresno, but she is also currently attending Berkeley Law. Kelly Anderson is an aerospace engineering major at UC Santa Cruz. Christian Gonzalez is in the ROTC program at Texas A&M. Aiden Ledbetter is studying at UC Davis. Half of the students I just mentioned are not students that were originally from Sanger Unified School District. My brother, Arnviv Litt, is working on his master's degree at Syracuse University. Go Oranges! Syracuse is a top rhetoric program in the country, and honestly, we have Hallmark to thank for that. His experience and time at Hallmark really helped get him to where he is today. So Hallmark and Mr. Sanchez have made a difference in each of these students' lives. Hallmark offers a unique learning experience to all students. This is not an opportunity that should be limited to students who have an address in Sanger. Our community extends beyond the city of Sanger. We should be proud of the fact that parents want to send their students to Sanger Unified School District. Sanger Unified's motto is every child, every day, whatever it takes. It is time for the school district to make sure this motto applies to Hallmark students. You can't have a motto like this and not live up to it. The district's vision is to make Hallmark useful, not excellent. The district also lacks transparency. In an article written by the Fresno Bee, the author highlights that, or states, and this is a quote, leadership made the merger decision in early April and then sent letters to families. And there was always parent involvement. I'd like to mention that the April 7th letter sent to parents failed to mention the district's decision to dissolve the charter. As a first-generation student and English language learner, I have had to struggle with cultural, linguistic, and social barriers. While I do not claim to know the experience of all of our students, I have a unique position. Unfortunately, our education system has limited access for many students, and this is a big problem in the state of California currently. And Hallmark Charter School is a resource to students across the Central Valley, and that is something we should be very proud of. Sanger Unified cannot guarantee that every student outside of Sanger Unified will have access to Hallmark. In order to protect our students and their futures, I urge you to vote against eliminating our charter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight, because he has a midterm at UC Davis, but I'll be reading the statement he's written. Good evening. My name is Aiden Ledbetter, and I'm releasing this statement in opposition to the board's plan to de-charter Hallmark Charter School. I'm a first-year political science and psychology major from UC Davis and a proud Hallmark alumni. While I appreciate the board's decision to postpone the vote on this matter to another time, I must point out the lack of transparency and inconsistent communication leading up to this point has been disappointing and unprofessional. The parents, students, teachers, staff, and alumni who will be directly impacted by this decision deserve better. I speak alongside the hundreds of Hallmark alumni when I say that the system that Hallmark fosters has directly improved my prospects both inside and outside of the classroom. Upon enrolling at UC Davis, I was fortunate enough to be able to forego roughly 3/4 of 1 year worth of prerequisite courses because the Hallmark curriculum had prepared me for college-level math and writing. The charter gives both teachers and students the opportunity to craft a unique, high-quality curriculum that brings out their best and works around their circumstances. As someone who's dealt with their own share of unfortunate circumstances, I say with confidence that I wouldn't be where I am today if Hallmark didn't support me through those tough times. I can also proudly say that Hallmark Charter not only gave me a world-class education, but also a special opportunity to experience the real world through programs like speech and debate, music, and art. On top of this, the school worked with me to fit in classes at Sanger High and local community colleges so that I could study the unique subjects I was passionate about. It's programs like these that allow students to get ahead of the curve and become the leaders this world desperately needs. The board's claim that a charterless Hallmark Academy will retain the same qualities as before ignores the fact that the charter gave teachers and administrators the ability to prioritize these programs in the first place. From the very beginning, Hallmark has been a place for students to receive an alternate education that works for them where traditional schools couldn't. It works for the students that fall through the cracks of our inherently flawed education system. Hallmark is for the students who live in faraway rural communities, like Sanger once was, students who have to manage work on top of their education, students who are consistently on the move, and more. But it's also a school for the overachievers, the hard workers, and talented students who seek a higher quality of education that cannot be provided by any other traditional school. Hallmark has its charter because it was never meant to be an ordinary school. The school board cannot have it both ways. A charterless Hallmark is one that fails the staff and students who will make this district a beacon for families across the city. Parents, staff, students, and alumni recognize what a disaster it would be for Hallmark to fall even more beholden to a school board that has shown time and time again its commitment to sabotaging the program. Which is why I call for the board to reverse this path and protect Hallmark Charter. Thank you.
Well, good evening to everybody, board, SUSD district. A little bit nervous. But I am thankful for the opportunity to give my personal opinion and my perspective on Hallmark Charter and the importance of keeping its designation as a charter school. First of all, I want to say is that this whole process has been laborious, right? We have our day jobs, and we're parents and all this, and we also have to be concentrated on this. And but it's worth it. It's important because we're not only fighting for this particular year or these kids today, but also those future students and those amazing students that might come in. And that's what I've seen, and that's been my experience. Is I've had the privilege of interacting with wonderful families, people of great integrity, values that I'm not saying don't exist in a public system. They very much do. But I'm just saying this is very normal for this school. And if you were to be part of it, and you would understand. But one of the things is I'm going to go ahead and I wrote a little comment during my lunch hour real quick, and first of all, I'm amazed by what was said just a while ago, but I'm going to do my best here. Hallmark Charter designation as a charter school is key to its role as a unique alternative educational model. Without this designation, it would remove, and this is the number that I saw, I'm not sure if it's, but it said 80% autonomy to administer funding in areas that its administrators and parent board believe is for the student's best interest. So there's quite a bit of autonomy that they have had of the funds. And it does raise a question, right? It does raise a question. Money is always, right, the great thing that people, that gets us into trouble. And I'm hoping that's not the reason, right? We wouldn't do that, right? Because the students should come first. And this school is worth what the effort that's put into it. And I hope that we can retain that autonomy of the funding, and that for that funding to be administered by the people who know what's happening with that charter. And it's very different than a regular public system. I was part of the parent council, and I was involved in the process, right? Mr. Sanchez would bring us together, concerned parents, and we'd be able to listen to what's been happening, what they're proposing, and also to disagree. And I did that. And sometimes I was not happy. I thought, we should change this. It's not right. You know, let's do something about that. And it wasn't always popular, and Mr. Sanchez wasn't always happy. But that's the process. And that's what we're doing here. And that's what these students and families and parents are taking part of. And that's what makes this country great. Right? There's countries right now that are unilaterally moving against another country just because. You know, power, right? And I pray and I hope that the board understands that, yes, you do have great influence and great power. But with that, of course, the old saying is great responsibility. And the responsibility first and foremost should be to these students. And so, just as a side note, I've yet to been called to attend the meeting, right? I was myself and maybe a couple of parents here. We were never addressed this year, right? Oh, pandemic happened, we can't do anything. I'm available, I've got Zoom. Most everybody's got Zoom. We can get together somehow, but they never did come to me. And so one of the issues I have is that this whole process was done so hastily and so quickly. And if the district wants to have a reputation of being fair and making decisions reasonably, then we need to take the time to understand what we're doing. And I think that keeping Hallmark Charter is the best option for the parents, for these teachers that love these kids, and for the years that we've invested in trying to make it better. And I just thank you for the time.
Taft Academy Transition 2022-23. This is for information only.
Charter allows open enrollment. Without it, it does not. So a transfer would need to be taken or done. I want to just suggest that we, as we've done so well for so many years, look outside the box. I believe we can do it all. We can raise our attendance. We can keep the charter. With open enrollment, that would grow our charter, not deplete it. If we looked outside of the box, I truly believe that we can grow Hallmark Charter, and we already have with your recommendation to bring Taft in. And they can come in, whether it's a charter or whether it's open or unopen enrollment. And so they're already in there. I'm sorry, I'm fading fast, I apologize. But I want every child that wants to come, and usually, because the reason why we hear these wonderful stories, and you know I have mine, is because there's certain children that need a place like Hallmark Charter. And when those children are not placed somewhere, say that they don't get their transfer from their school, and they have learned of this school, and that's where they want to go, and they know they would feel at home. They could feel it when they walk on campus. I've experienced that. So that's why I want to keep the enrollment open, because someone from Fresno, a child from Fresno, that's having a difficult time in mainstream schools in Fresno, and then they hear about Hallmark, and they want to come here. But say that school won't allow them to come, and that is a possibility. That's always a possibility. But I want us to really think about this. My board, my wonderful board, and my wonderful, they're all mine, just so you know, they're all mine. I respect them. Please understand, this is not words of disrespect. These people that sit before you, 16 years ago, we were one of the lowest performing school districts, I'm going to say in the United States, but I know it was California. And these people did what they needed to do to raise that. And now look at us. Look at us. Look at what we've done, what they have done. So this is not a sign of disrespect. I'm just asking just another chance. Because I know there are children that are going to need, not just want, but need. And that's usually the ones that come up to the podium and say how much Hallmark changed their lives because they could not go to their mainstream school district because it wasn't working for them. So for those children that are unable to go to those schools, I ask that we keep our charter for open enrollment for those children. Thank you.
So I have a question about the chart, and be very careful how I say this. I don't want to setting all emotion and other aspects aside, I'm just gonna look at the chart, right? And the Taft enrollment chart looks like a bull trap, and the Hallmark enrollment chart, to me, looks like a bear trap. So I'm making those reference is because are we assuming that Hallmark is on a downtrend? That's why we're initiating this this resolution, because Taft is on an uptrend, so that we have the ability to provide some kind of solution for this.
Appreciate it, Mr. As we look at the chart, we can see that there is a downward trend to the Hallmark enrollment. And of the 252 students that are there, 107 are from outside the district, where the remaining balance are semi-unified students. And as we look at Taft, increasing up to the 480 there, we see that there is significant interest in a non-brick and mortar experience. The consolidation of this allows for those resources, as it was well said by Mr. Lopez, to be fluid amongst all of the students to achieve maximum accessibility to art, to music, to their teachers, and allow for that continued brand that has been delivered through Hallmark to move forward and to use the continued desire not to be any brick and mortar experience and just consolidate all of these services and resources to maximize those opportunities. If you continue on this downward trend, as we can see here, we will eventually be at a point where we will be potentially small enough where it'd be hard to support and sustain those continued services. But when combined with an interest by 400 and some other students, including high school students, who have a similar non-brick and mortar, although through ingenuity, just as rigorous or demand as they perceive it, we feel that the resources can be fluid amongst all participants at those sites.
So what would it look like 2022 to 2023 and say that these charts reverse because we are proposing to drop the chart by 23. What would it look like for us if these charts were to reverse by next year for us? Like, are we creating a problem for us that don't exist, or are we solving it? Or are we trying to solve a problem that exists? I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, again, a downward trend towards a low population makes it very difficult to staff and support a school potentially of 100. Right? By consolidating, you're able to promote and those same services. By redirecting that trend line to a growth and continued support services is very similar to the trend that's happening district-wide, as we see even in the southeast area of our district. That it can be challenging, but it is encouraging to see that desire in the larger numbers, because that means we can consolidate again those resources to serve them in the same way we've been used to. With a continued decline in that enrollment, it will be much more challenging to maintain the current staffing levels that we currently have there at this time.
Any other questions?
I can see how the academic part of this works, because you have the Taft people already there doing academics, and you can see, I see the Hallmark people doing academics. But now you have 500 people coming over to use the Hallmark art, music, and all those programs. Won't it overwhelm them? And what are we going to do about that? If so many people from the Taft want to come over and do that. What are we going to do about that?
The demand for our resources, including music, art, PE, is one that we monitor very closely. When there's a desire for additional sections and we can add that resource, we will do so accordingly. That is something that happens typically throughout the year for all of our sites. So when there is enough sections or enough demand of students that say we require an extra partial FTE or another FTE, a full-time equivalent, then that is added to that staffing level. And we've done that not only at school sites individually, but even as district services for all services we provide for kids.
Yeah, but that's 500.
Correct.
That's a lot. And then, no, wouldn't it be 500? I mean, if people wanna come over,
Right, but not all of them not all of them are accessing those resources.
not all of them want it, you're saying?
Right, but it'll be available, because right now, currently, it's really difficult to say if we need part-time teachers. You know, some of the Hallmark teachers there are not full-time because we don't have students that are accessing those programs. So that's why we need, again, to increase the enrollment so that we do have students who will access those programs and therefore be more efficient in the running of the school.
That's hard.
Is there an urgency to do this? I noticed that the drops in the Hallmark for 2020, 21, 22, and then the increase in Taft for the same years. I'm not saying it's because of the pandemic, but due to the pandemic, that is a possible factor that maybe some people are exploring virtual and instead of non-virtual. Now, is there urgency to act upon these data to be included in the normal historical data? Because I'm looking at the recessions years and they've been stable. And so I'm just trying to rationalize the need for this and the urgency for this too. So
The current trend for the upcoming year, in a non-pandemic year, out of 666 eligible students, 453 have said, we're coming back. Non-pandemic right there. All right, so their desire is to be back in this platform. Of that, we have 182 who have chosen a virtual platform and 159 choosing a homeschool platform. So that desire is there naturally without a pandemic occurring. What we're seeing in that trend, and you can see there was a spike in that pandemic for Hallmark, and then there's that drop that we're experiencing now, which is below the second year that Hallmark was even in existence. So that continues year after year after year. And that trend line, as you can see, that red line, is indicative of where that trend's going. Even at 1 degree per year, it's compounding. The resources have continued to remain there to support continued marketing and research. And we've had those discussions. But what we're seeing now is an opportunity to capture the interest from this group on the right-hand side. And again, creating a consolidation of resources and accessing the same type of services that all of our kids are experiencing in second year.
Left here. Could you, in a synopsis, tell me the difference between a dependent charter school and an independent charter school?
I can. So, Hallmark Charter School, the initial inception of that, and I was also around in 1999, was as a dependent charter school, and it has operated that way since. Which means that basically it's very integrated into our system and is part of our school. So the funding actually comes directly to us. We do those approvals for expenditures. And much like we heard with the LCAP conversations, the way those expenditures get done is through communication with the parents at the school. So we do that for the district schools, and then we also do similar for the LCFF process. So it has been a dependent charter school. An independent charter school would have been completely outside. The funding would go to that organization, and they would come in every 5 years and do a report on their academic progress. So again, dependent charter schools, we come through.